30 seconds and counting. 25 seconds and counting. We are still go. 20 seconds. Guidance alert. The guidance system now going internal. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good, very early morning to European and African viewers. Good evening to viewers in the Western Hemisphere. Good morning to viewers in the Pacific Rim. Welcome to a special live stream of the Angry Astronaut. We're going to be covering a JAXA launch tonight. This is something that I don't do very often. As a matter of fact, I think I've only covered one other JAXA launch, and that one didn't go very well. That was the first H3 launch ever. So in any event, looking forward to this. In the meantime, okay, so folks are saying that there might be a mic problem. Boy, I was afraid of that. But in any event, a lot of the coverage is going to be through NASA and not necessarily through me tonight. So we'll do our best to see what we can do on this damn audio. But now that I'm back, I had a feeling that there might be an issue with that. So Mike getting better. Mike's going to have some issues tonight, folks. We'll do what we can to try to rectify it as the night goes on. I am in the United Kingdom. Unfortunately, Japan was not possible for me because of their laws in regards to addiction treatment medications. They are very, very strict on that. Yes, as far as the store link is concerned, hopefully it'll be up on Monday next week. It was up for a limited amount of time. It closed down. Then it'll be coming back at the beginning of next week, and I'm going to have some samples. Thank you so much, Robert. Really, really appreciate your generous support. Thank you very, very much. So Mars Embassy says that the vertical stream is just fine. Trying to push too much, maybe so. Although that's interesting because the vertical stream. Okay, that's really weird. Mars Embassy says the vertical stream sounds fine and not the horizontal. That's very weird. In any event, uh, okay. We're doing some troubleshooting, but keep in mind, everybody, the vast majority of this is going to be JAXA/NASA coverage. My audio won't be quite as important with this particular broadcast. So if there are issues, just hang in there because when we start broadcasting the actual launch, there won't be any audio issues with that at all, unless NASA is having audio issues for some reason. Anton, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Where's everybody checking in from, by the way? Where's everybody watching from? I forgot to ask that question, probably because our mic issues are back, which means we'll probably do a special broadcast where we're checking audio. How old am I? 56. I'm 56. Up. Okay, looks like we had a brief thing maybe when we're trying to rectify that issue. 4 marks. Thank you very much. Really appreciate you checking in there, Mr. Morgan. Hello, New Zealand. Hello, Alaska. Thank you very much for checking in. So once again, to emphasize, this is an incredibly important mission launch for JAXA because it's a brand new Japanese spacecraft, the HTV-X. Really, really important launch for them because they haven't had a functional resupply spacecraft since the previous decade since 2019. Thank you very much. Hello, Azusa, California, and Maui. Thanks very much. Really appreciate it. Hey, Australia. Believe me, I really enjoyed the experience of visiting Australia. What a fantastic thing that was. Hello, South Carolina. Really, really appreciate you being here today. Hello, Roswell. Hello, Maryland. So keep in mind, another Australia. Thanks very much for being here today. And we also have the Netherlands. Looks like really appreciate you checking in Mississippi, my dad's home state. He's from a little town called Amory, Mississippi, actually. So Houston, Texas. Thanks very much for checking in today. And let's see, who else do we have watching? Once again, not a huge crowd. I'm not surprised. It's the middle of the night. Can't expect too many Europeans to be watching at the moment. And also, a Japanese launch is not as exciting to a lot of people as the SpaceX launch. But once again, super, super important launch for Japan. John Morgan, thank you so much for the tenor. I really, really appreciate that. Once again, very important launch for Japan. This spacecraft can carry. Okay, so it looks like NASA's gone live. We're going to go ahead and bring them on. BJ, thank you so much
the launch of this new
and I'll
cargo
cut
vehicle.
in with commentary as the broadcast continues. Let's bring NASA online, please.
8:15 and 8 p.m. and 15 seconds Eastern Time, which will be
Can
9 a.m. and 15 seconds Japan time on Sunday morning. Once the HTV-X1 arrives on orbit, JAXA engineers at the main control center in Tsukuba, Japan, will put the vehicle through a series of systems demonstrations to prove it can arrive safely at the station on Wednesday morning autonomously, where JAXA astronaut Kim.
Are you guys hearing audio from NASA and JAXA? Because I'm not hearing anything.
HTV-X1. Huey and Cardman will then hand over robotic operations to ground controllers here at Mission Control in Houston, who will maneuver the vehicle to the Earth-facing port of the Harmony module for its installation and its bolting into place for its planned 3-month stay. The H3 rocket that you're looking at is a 2-stage booster fueled by liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen.
And yeah, NASA is on shutdown, but they have international obligations. And this is one of them. Okay, so there's no sound from them. That's not surprising, really. It could be that they're not really, they don't have a lot of commentary on this at the moment. Once again, NASA,
5 minutes after
go ahead,
launch.
Derek.
Then the second stage engine kicks in for around 9 additional minutes of thrust. If all goes
there is
planned,
commentary there.
The HTV-X1 will separate from the H3 second stage about 14 minutes after launch.
We'll have some audio for you guys here shortly.
By the deployment of the twin solar arrays on the vehicle, these are called solar paddles by JAXA.
Once again,
this is different from
in
the
the
original
meantime,
HTV cargo craft.
Okay, guys, can you hear audio from the on the NASA side? I can't hear it, but that doesn't mean anything.
We're inside 11 minutes until
Thanks very much.
scheduled
Really
liftoff. This is an instant launch window for the H3
DMC.
rocket. It will arc out over the Pacific
really
into an orbit inclined 51.6
yeah, there is commentary
degrees
on
to
the
either
vertical
side of the equator to match the
realize
orbital inclination of the International
Space
Station.
Commentary now
At
on the
spacecraft separation, the HTV-X will reach an altitude of about 186 statute miles and will then incrementally
so we are getting it
go through a series of rendezvous burns, height adjustment maneuvers, and co-elliptic maneuvers and fine-tuning mid-course correction burns to reach a point directly below the station in the neighborhood of the ISS on Wednesday morning, where it will inchworm its way up that R-bar, the radial vector, the imaginary line drawn between the station and the Earth, to reach a point about 30 feet away from the station. That's where Huey and Cardman will extend the Canadarm2 robotic arm and reach out and grapple HTV-X for its installation on the Earth-facing port of the Harmony module. The HTV-X is comprised of 2 major components, a pressurized module. This is based on the legacy HTV design for a pressurized logistics carrier. It contains most of the control and power components for the vehicle itself. The service module contains 3 integrated flight computer strings, 3 different strings of propulsion capability, guidance and navigation and control sensors, communications equipment, and the power configuration for the free flight, those solar arrays and batteries on the vehicle itself. Once it is mated to the International Space Station and bolted into place on Wednesday morning, the HTV-X will derive station power for the duration of its stay on board the International Outpost. You can see the countdown clock at the top of our feed, courtesy of JAXA, the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, as we are now inside 8.5 minutes until liftoff. There will be final systems checks by the engineers at the Launch Control Center in Tanegashima.
Yeah, very
Prior
beautiful
to,
region
the
of
ignition
Japan,
of the main
by the
engine and
way.
the solid rocket booster,
way south
the H3
of
rocket
Kyushu,
will take off rather
the
quickly,
main islands,
clearing the tower and
so
arcing out to the
Takashima
northeast
launch
from
facility.
the launch site.
Which I really wish I was there right now covering it.
Before HTV-X arrives at the International Space Station on Wednesday morning, there will be a series of systems demonstrations, as we mentioned earlier, first during what is called the Far Field Rendezvous areas. Those will test out the performance of the absolute global positioning system on board the vehicle, as well as the performance of the vehicle's attitude, its orientation relative to Earth, its free drift capability, basically disabling all of the thrusters on board to see how stable the vehicle is without thruster capability. It will also test out an abort capability should that become necessary because of a systems issue. Once the HTV-X arrives in the neighborhood of the station, they'll perform 6 demonstrations during what is called the near-field rendezvous timeframe. That will be assessed by engineering and operations teams on console before the International Space Station Mission Management Team meets on Tuesday to review the performance.
JJ,
of
I'll
those
answer your question
demonstration
in a
tests
second.
and provide a final go for HTV-X to arrive at the station on Wednesday morning. Some of the near-field rendezvous demonstrations will include a relative GPS performance test, a link of the
Okay,
proximity
JJ, just to
operations
answer your
equipment and the
question
ability
regarding
of the
why are
crew on
they
board the
doing this,
station to
the
send commands to the
HTV-X
vehicle,
is not a
the testing of
spacecraft that's
various
designed
sensors,
primarily
the
for
performance
the
of the
ISS.
HTV to
Instead,
hold
what it's
itself, basically
designed
put
for
on
is
the
for
brakes,
commercial
hold
space
steady
stations. They have established a very lucrative contract with a company called Voyager, which is also teamed with Airbus for the new Starlab space station that will be launching in a couple of years. And HTV-X, together with SpaceX, will be the 2 major resupply vehicles for this space station. And Mitsubishi Heavy Industries is one of the most important partners. They've really given them some important roles to play resupplying this commercial space station for the also known, as I said, the Starlab space station through Voyager and Airbus. We can go ahead and bring NASA back, producer.
You can see mostly clear skies after a week's worth of inclement weather that delayed this launch by several days.
Everybody say hello to Marina, our wonderful supporter from Ukraine. She's been a supporter of this channel forever. and has been in Ukraine since the beginning of the awful conflict there. Everybody wish her
We've reached the
best of wishes.
4-minute 30-second mark in the countdown. Again, the launch engineers in Tanegashima working no issues. The range is clear, and everything looks to be in good shape for an on-time liftoff. Once again, reviewing quickly the milestones between launch and
New
York, the ascent
hoping to be
timeframe.
Visiting New York here in the next
solid
couple of
rocket
months.
boosters will separate about 2 minutes after launch, followed about a minute later by the jettisoning of the payload fairing at the top of the H-3 rocket, within which the HTV-X1 Cargo craft is encapsulated. First stage separation is scheduled 5 minutes after launch. It will separate from the rest of the stack. The second stage separation comes at 9 minutes later at about 7:14 p.m. Central Time, followed 28 minutes later by solar array deploy. And there's a view of 3 of the 4 solid rocket boosters at the base of the H-3 rocket, which again rolled out to the launch pad about 14 hours ago, and engineers hooked up all of the key lines, the telemetry lines, electrical and fuel lines, and began
this
fueling
JAXA
the rocket
H3 has 4 solid rocket boosters plus a full suite of engines on the booster. This thing has maximum thrust for an H3 rocket. Again, necessary because this is a big spacecraft and it's packed with supplies.
The first stage of the rocket is being purged right now. The rocket now in stable replenish with its load of liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen, approaching the T-minus 2-minute mark.
Always, Farouk. Always, I'll update on 3i Atlas, but there's not much to say right now.
Assuming everything goes as planned, the HTV-X, this brand new cargo ship for JAXA, will arrive at the International Space Station on Wednesday morning, with capture scheduled at 10:50 a.m. Central Time, 11:50 a.m. Eastern Time. T-minus 1 minute, 15 seconds.
Just so you know, I'll be covering the docking as well.
To be go, as we are now at T-minus 40
less than a minute to lift off, guys. Here we go. This is an extremely important mission for Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, for JAXA, for the future of space flight. Godspeed, JAXA. Godspeed, H3. Godspeed, HTV-X.
T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Engine start, solid rocket booster ignition, and liftoff. Japan sending a new second-generation cargo craft on a delivery run to the International Space Station.
Liftoff.
The
Beautiful,
HTV
magnificent
atop the H3 rocket
liftoff.
arcing out to the northeast from the launch site. 30 seconds into the flight, all systems reported go. Good trajectory reported by the launch engineers at Tanegashima. The liftoff time confirmed at 7 p.m. and 15 seconds Central Time, 9 a.m. and 15 seconds Japan time on Sunday morning.
Looking good so far.
One minute, 10 seconds into the flight. Good trajectory, good vehicle performance, good stability on the vehicle. All of the H3 systems first stage performance looking good. We're expecting solid rocket booster jettison in about 20 seconds or so.
All right, we're about 90 seconds into the flight. Looking really good. Come on, go, 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 go.
And SRB separation is confirmed. Next up, the jettisoning of the payload fairing. This is a plot board at the Launch Control Center in Tanegashima showing the trajectory of the H3 rocket. 2 minutes, 35 seconds into the flight.
Come on, baby, come on. Excellent. We got SRB separation. Once again, Japan doesn't cover these things like SpaceX. You're not going to get as many camera views, spectacular camera views during the flight.
The reports from the Launch Control Center indicating good first stage performance, good trajectory on the rocket. And we now have confirmation of payload fairing separation. Next up will be first stage separation about 1 minute and 10 seconds from now.
So far, H3 performing very well. The thing we need to look for is that second stage ignition. All right, so we got fairing separation right now. Excellent. Things are still going really well.
Once again, you're looking at a plot board at the Launch Control Center in Tanegashima, Japan, in southern Japan. We're at the 4 minute,
That's
20
where
second mark
H3
into
went
the flight
bad
of the H3
on its
rocket
first
to deliver
launch.
the
Was a failure for the
HTV-X1 Cargo
second
craft
stage
into
to
its
ignite.
preliminary orbit.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
We're about 10 seconds or so away from first stage engine cutoff and separation, as you can see on the plot board.
Okay, we're getting close to Miko. Heading towards MECO.
And we have confirmation of first stage separation. The second stage engine has ignited, up and running, looking good. Good trajectory, good stability on the H3 rocket, now running on the singular power of its second stage engine. Coming up on the 6-minute mark into the flight. This second stage engine will burn for about 9 minutes.
Okay, we should. Okay, do we have second stage ignition, though? That's the key thing. Excellent. We have second stage ignition. So H3 has surpassed an issue that sabotaged its first launch in 2023.
Once again, the launch of the H3 rocket carrying the HTV-X1 Cargo craft on its maiden flight occurred on time at 7 p.m. and 15 seconds.
Once again,
Central
in terms
time,
of what the launch is all about, this is a brand new spacecraft for Japan,
time
the
on Sunday morning from the
HTV-X, that's
Tanegashima
taking supplies to the
Space
International Space Station, and it will take supplies to future commercial space stations in the following decade. So this is Japan's resupply spacecraft for the future.
We're about 6.5 minutes away from second stage shutdown and separation. The HTV-X1 Cargo craft will reach a preliminary orbit about 186 statute miles above the Earth, and will begin almost immediately with a series of demonstrations of its global positioning system hardware. A series of demonstrations called far-field demonstrations will take place throughout the course of
the distance is only a few hundred kilometers up.
US
the ISS is only about 500 kilometers
rendezvous maneuvers
above the Earth.
Scheduled for late afternoon
ETA Wednesday.
US time.
It'll be a
on
Wednesday
Sunday
docking.
afternoon, leading to a rendezvous with the International Space Station on Wednesday morning. 8.5 minutes into the flight, everything continues to look good. A little under 5 minutes to go before second stage shutdown and separation, spacecraft separation to follow seconds after that. Good reports coming in from the Launch Control Center in Tanegashima. Good second stage performance, good vehicle stability. The HTV-X1 is carrying about 4.5 tons of food, supplies, and science experiments for the Expedition 73 crew aboard the International Space Station. The station crew was asleep at the time of launch. They'll be informed of the results of this liftoff once they
And
are
also,
awakened
to be clear,
several hours from now.
SpaceX had just set a record last month on payload delivery to the International Space Station, a little less than 11,000 pounds worth of payload. This one is carrying over 5,800 kilograms worth of payload, way north of 11,000 pounds. So this should set a record.
Less than 3 minutes to go before the scheduled cutoff of the second stage engine and the separation of the HTV-X1. From the time of spacecraft separation until solar array deploy, it will be about 28 minutes or so.
So we need to get to that second
on the air to
engine
report
cutoff.
the solar array deploy.
And then very shortly thereafter, we'll have a separation of the HTV-X. And then at that point, the vehicle will orbit the Earth quite a number of times as they put it through its paces, lots of tests before they finally make a burn to rendezvous with the station.
A number of systems demonstrations called far-field demonstrations and near-field demonstrations will be conducted with the HTV-X1 Cargo craft. Basically, the engineers in Tsukuba, Japan, at the HTV control room will take over control of this flight from the Launch Control Center engineers in Tanegashima.
Farouk, that is actually true. However, 1420 megahertz corresponds
they'll be monitoring the HTV-X
with hydrogen.
Systems, as will
and
visiting
I believe that ping happened at the time when it had that big gush of water. So we would actually expect that type of ping from this object with a big production of water at the same time.
We're 13 minutes into the flight. We're about a minute away or so from second stage shutdown, and spacecraft separation. Will stand by for that confirmation.
And yes, it did go off the launch pad very quickly. That's with 4 solid rocket boosters plus its booster engines. Solid rocket boosters, lots of solid rocket boosters especially, will give a huge amount of acceleration to a rocket. Instant thrust.
Approaching the 14-minute mark into the mission, standing by for second stage shutdown.
Yeah, it's a good question, Phyllis, but these things are also used for disposal. They not only use them to deliver supplies, but they also put debris, garbage, whatever is unnecessary to the ISS into these vehicles to re-enter the atmosphere.
On time, all of the ascent milestones were conducted as planned to deliver the HTV-X1 into its preliminary orbit. HTV-X1 providing good telemetry back to the HTV control room in Tsukuba, Japan.
All right, second stage shutdown. HTV-X has successfully separated.
HTV-X1
a
is now flying free
successful
from
flight
its booster.
for
The H3 did its
H3,
job,
a
delivering
successful least at
HTV-X1
this
into its
stage. Now
preliminary
it's up
orbit.
to HTV-X to get the rest of the job done. But as
The
far as the
spacecraft
flight
is
is concerned, and as
oriented
far as
itself into what is
H3
called
is
an Earth
concerned, this
acquisition
was
mode
a
that will
spectacular
provide
success.
the initial orientation for the first of these demonstration tests of its global positioning system hardware. Good data being received by the visiting vehicle officer here in Mission Control from HTV-X1 as it is being relayed.
Thank you,
from
Drab. I
the
appreciate that
HTV
clarification
control room
on the
in Tsukuba, Japan.
ATV, the European ATV. It was a long time ago that
We're
happened.
about 26 minutes away from solar array deploy, so we'll be standing by for that milestone. Once again, this is about a 3.5-day journey for HTV to reach the International Space Station. Its rendezvous profile deliberately designed to enable all of these demonstration tests of sensors, global positioning system hardware, proximity links, the commanding capability for the crew on the station to send commands
panel
once the
deployment is going to
HTV-X1
be
arrives
very
in the
critical.
neighborhood
We're
of the
26
station
minutes
on
away
Wednesday
from
morning.
that. And I think I'm going to hang in there through that deployment, because once those deploy, we'll know that HTV-X is going to make it, or at least that HTV-X is fully functional.
Between the station and the Earth, at which point the HTV-X1 will be commanded to slowly but surely make its way from what basically, if you looked at a clock, would be the 6 o'clock position all the way up to the station, stopping at various points for systems checks, not only by the flight control team in Tsukuba, Japan, but mission control here in Houston, led by Flight Director Fiona Ankoviak. Once HTV-X1 arrives about 30 feet away from the station, JAXA astronaut Kimiya Yui, backed up by NASA's Zena Cardman, will use the station's robotic arm, the Canadarm2, to reach out and grapple HTV-X1, very much like we do with the Northrop Grumman Cygnus cargo craft. Once Yui and Cardman have grappled HTV-X1, they'll hand over the robotic chores to the robotics officer here in Mission Control, who will maneuver HTV-X1 to the nadir, or Earth-facing port of the Harmony module, for its slow but sure inching towards the common berthing mechanism on the Earth-facing side of Harmony, for its installation and then its bolting into place for its 3-month stay. And this view now from the HTV control room in Tsukuba, Japan, where the HTV engineers now have taken over the operation of the vehicle for the remainder of its 3.5-day rendezvous to the International Space Station. The next milestone will be solar array deploy. Unlike the legacy HTV that flew between 2009 and 2020
Thanks
on 9
very
different
much,
resupply
Mike,
runs
for
to the station.
updating on solar array deployment time.
Cargo craft had body-mounted solar cells. This spacecraft, with increased capability, the HTV-X1, the X standing for exploration, has two solar arrays called solar paddles, which will be deployed here a short time from now. This is Mission Control Houston, and never a dull moment, never a surprise, but the flight control room in Tsukuba, Japan now reports a nominal deployment of the twin solar paddles. The solar arrays are out and generating the correct electrical output. So HTV-X1 is in great shape and on its way to the International Space Station. Its solar arrays having been deployed. We had expected them to be deployed a few minutes later than had occurred just a few minutes ago, but that's all good. The HTV-X1 with a nominal ascent, all of its systems looking good. Its initial global positioning system hardware and its attitude hardware all looking very, very stable. And the solar arrays
have already been deployed.
So with that, we can wrap up our coverage for today with a successful launch of a brand new cargo craft to the International Space Station, the HTV-X1. We will be back on the air on Wednesday
They just deployed those things early.
8:05 a.m. Central Time,
and they're generating energy.
Eastern
Everything's
time,
good.
with our rendezvous and capture coverage of HTV-X1 by Kimi Yui and Zena Cardman at the International Space Station. For now, we'll wrap up our coverage. A successful launch of HTV-X1 on its way now to the International Space Station for an arrival on Wednesday
Let's
morning.
go ahead and, let's just go ahead and cut off the NASA
Mission
feed, and we'll
Control
wrap this up, producer. That's very interesting. So, okay, just real quick, let's give you everybody an idea of what all of this means. Really fantastic mission so far. I mean, once again, we don't have any guarantees that the HTV-X is going to dock with the space station successfully, but still, with those solar panels already deployed, generating energy, doing everything that they're supposed to do, that's a really good sign of a functioning, healthy spacecraft. And on Wednesday, it will be docking with the International Space Station. I will be covering that part of the mission as well. This is a big moment because for quite some time, ever since the retirement of the previous HTV vehicles and the European resupply ships that used to go to the ISS, but we haven't seen any of those for quite some time either. It's been all United States and Russia. The Russian Progress resupply ship and the American Cygnus and the Cargo Dragon. So now that Japan has re-entered this arena, and now that they are part of the resupply plan for the International Space Station, that really gets Japan back into the thick of things. And not only that, if they can demonstrate that this spacecraft does a good job for the ISS, that means it'll be doing a good job for commercial space stations in the future. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, they already have a solid relationship, a solid contract built with Voyager / Airbus and their private Starlab space station that will be launching on a Starship within the next couple of years. At the time that Starship will be fully operational, that is, at least for orbital missions. I'm confident that that will be happening. The whole fueling thing and getting Starship to the moon may take a little bit longer, but as far as delivering payloads to orbit, I'm confident that Starship should be doing that by next year. So Starlab is designed to be deployed on a single Starship launch, and in Japan, Mitsubishi Heavy Industries and the HTV-X is a big part of Starlab's resupply plans. So a big moment for Japan, a big win today, And if they manage to successfully dock, it will be a total success, obviously, and Japan will firmly re-enter the logistical support in low Earth orbit, a very, very big moment for JAXA. So once again, I will be covering that resupply docking mission, or the docking part of this mission, rather, on Wednesday. So keep your eyes open for that. Thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, stay angry about space.